Some people think waking up at 3 in the morning to pray is over the top, crazy, fanatic stuff. But what nobody tells you, my friend, is that this hour exposes who really wants change, and who's just talking about it. The truth is rough. While you're knocked out asleep, your life might be getting attacked, sabotaged, or spiritually blocked, and you don't even realize it. And the wildest part? The solution ain't in complicated prayers, weird rituals, or empty promises. It's in simply getting up, opening your mouth, and saying the right words at the right time. 'Cause believe me, when you pray at 3 a.m., something shifts inside you and around you. Fear loses its voice, anxiety gets weaker, and that heavy pressure on your soul starts breaking off. And that's exactly what a lot of people don't want you to figure out, that there's a hidden spiritual key in the early morning hours that can unlock your life, your family, your emotional health, and even the things you've been trying to achieve for years. Matter of fact, before we keep going, drop a comment below. Have you ever felt something strange or unexplainable happen at this hour, or is this your first time hearing about it? I want to see who's already felt that call. You're about to learn this key, and once you do, you'll probably never go back to living the same way again. When someone wakes up at 3 a.m., that ain't random, that's a direct call, almost like a spiritual summons a lot of folks ignore, but the wise catch instantly. In that moment when the world's asleep and the silence feels heavy, God opens a powerful window for a midnight prayer that breaks fear, anxiety, and those invisible chains that drain your peace. It's a rare opportunity, my friend, to declare freedom, call for divine healing, protect your household, and claim the financial blessing that's been stuck. Anyone who understands this hour doesn't just roll back into bed, they rise, they pray, they face the battle, because they know heaven listens differently at that time, and when heaven listens differently, life changes. Sleep hits hard, your body complains, and your mind whispers, go back to sleep. But that's exactly where the real spiritual fight begins. Getting up at 3 a.m. is an act of courage and faith, a silent declaration that you refuse to stay trapped. The moment your feet hit the floor, you're already praying before you even say a word. Just standing up breaks chains that kept you frozen. Don't wait for your body to fully wake up to pray, pray while you're waking up. Sit at the edge of the bed, breathe deep, sip some water, any simple gesture activates your spirit. In that moment, God starts touching areas inside you that you didn't even know needed freedom. A practical example, leave a bottle of water by your bed and, the moment you wake up, drink it declaring inner peace. Tiny actions at this hour create massive spiritual movement. This call is for anyone tired of living controlled by fear, anxiety, and repetitive emotional pain. Waking up to pray at this hour is saying, I'm taking my life back. And right away, the atmosphere shifts, the house feels lighter, the heart breathes easier, and your protected family feels the impact of this silent decision. And step by step, something bigger starts forming in the spiritual realm. At 3 a.m., you step into a deeply spiritual territory. This is the moment to cover your home, your protected family, your dreams, and your mind with divine protection. You declare that no evil, no negative energy, no invisible arrow has authorization to touch your life. These words build spiritual walls no one can see, but heaven recognizes instantly. You take spiritual authority, covering your physical and emotional health, breaking fear and anxiety that try to run your routine. A simple gesture, like walking through the house declaring inner peace, transforms the environment and pushes out everything that's not from God. Every room becomes protected territory. Even your plans, projects, and finances get put under God's protection. You declare that everything connected to your future is covered, and nothing will sabotage your path. It's like putting on emotional and spiritual armor that strengthens your soul. And as this covering takes place, something even deeper begins to unfold. When someone enters this 3 a.m. prayer moment, they start touching areas that have been stuck for years. The mentor explains there are invisible bonds, patterns, habits, memories, holding life down like old chains. And this is the hour where deliverance hits hardest, because the spirit is more sensitive to God's voice. The person declares with authority, "I break every cycle that tries to paralyze me." And when they say that, heaven responds with power. Breaking these bonds isn't just spiritual, it's mental, emotional, inner healing from wounds built up over time. Here the person renounces emotional chains from toxic relationships, old traumas, or wrong decisions that left deep scars. They begin releasing weight, pain, guilt, everything draining their faith. A practical example: before sleeping, write down 3 things you want to break free from, and at 3 a.m., present each of them to God. This simple act brings clarity and direction. The mentor teaches, breaking patterns ain't just speaking, it's positioning yourself. In this powerful prayer, the person rises spiritually, declares freedom over their mind, body, and soul, and determines that nothing from the past will control their future. And the interesting thing is, as they declare this, anxiety starts losing its voice, fear shrinks, and a wave of inner peace washes over the heart like a deep internal cleansing. And as this process grows, a new spiritual step starts forming. The mentor knows the quietest battle happens inside the heart. And this is where forgiveness enters like a spiritual sword that cuts what's been poisoning the soul. At 3 a.m., when God's presence feels closer, the person sees wounds they've hidden for years. And in that moment, they choose to release resentment, let go of the past, and free people who were unknowingly tying up their emotional life. It's hard, but it's freeing. Forgiving doesn't mean approving injustice, it means freeing yourself from the weight that keeps your heart stuck. A lot of times, anxiety, fear, and lack of inner peace are tied to unresolved situations squeezing the heart. That's why in this powerful prayer the person says, "I forgive so I can be free." A simple exercise: whisper the person's name softly and hand them over to God, asking for divine healing in your emotions. This opens doors heaven's been wanting to open for a long time. While releasing forgiveness, the person also renounces everything that feeds old pain, toxic memories, false expectations, feelings that hurt. This creates space inside the spirit where inner peace can finally grow. Freedom takes shape, and the protected family feels the impact. When one heart is healed, the whole house breathes. And as this forgiveness builds, something deeper starts moving to transform emotional and spiritual health. During the 3 a.m. prayer, the person understands that physical and emotional health are also areas the enemy targets. The Bible says in Psalm 147 verse 3 that God heals the brokenhearted and binds their wounds. At 3 a.m., that promise feels even more real, because the spirit is more sensitive and heaven feels more attentive. The person lays hands on their body and declares divine healing over every hurting area, trusting that the same God who healed in the past still heals today. In that act of faith, healing begins to flow. Emotional health is restored through the word too. Philippians 4 verse 7 says the peace of God guards the heart and mind, and that's exactly what happens when the person brings their anxiety and fear before God at 3 a.m. They breathe deep, pray, and feel tension slowly draining out. Simple gestures, like drinking water and declaring Isaiah 41 verse 10, "Fear not, for I am with you, realign the emotions and make room for inner peace. Wherever there's prayer, there's renewal. As this spiritual covering happens, transformation starts showing up in the environment. The protected family feels it, the house feels lighter, and daily behavior shifts because the mind is stronger. Proverbs 4 verse 22 says God's words are life to those who find them and health to their whole body. Declaring this in the early morning builds an emotional and physical shield that blocks destructive thoughts. And as this restoration unfolds, something greater begins moving. When someone prays at 3 a.m., they bring not only their pain but also their material needs to God. Psalm 23 verse 1 says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," and that promise hits harder in the early morning prayer. Here, the person presents their finances, bills, projects, and asks for the financial blessing that's been stuck for years. They renounce the spirit of poverty and declare provision comes from above, not circumstances. That attitude opens doors the impossible tries to close. Wisdom is also sought at this hour, because Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 says to trust the Lord and not rely on your own understanding. At 3 a.m., when silence dominates, the mind is clearer and the heart is more open to God's direction. The person presents big decisions, career, family, relationships, and asks for discernment to avoid emotional or financial traps. A practical example, before accepting any deal or opportunity, they pray for clarity, quoting James 1 verse 5, which says God gives wisdom generously. This saves them from failure. And as they pray for provision and wisdom, something changes inside. They start seeing opportunities they never noticed, doors appear where there were walls, and faith becomes the fuel to move forward. God honors those who seek Him early. Proverbs 8 verse 17 says, "Those who seek me early will find me." This early pursuit reorganizes the mind, strengthens emotions, and opens paths for better decisions. As this provision flows through every area, the next spiritual step approaches. At 3 a.m., when someone presents their relationships to God, they understand this area sets the rhythm of life. The Bible warns that bad company can destroy even a strong heart, and this truth is settled spiritually in the early morning prayer. Here, the person places each friend, each connection, each influence before God, asking toxic ties to be broken and purpose-aligned relationships to be strengthened. It's protection and direction at the same time. In the quiet of this hour, God reveals things daytime noise hides. A lot of fear, anxiety, and lack of peace comes from people draining emotional energy without the person even noticing. That's why prayer includes discernment, seeing who draws you closer to your purpose and who pulls you away. A simple exercise, mention, even silently, the name of someone you need to pray for or distance yourself from. This brings clarity that prevents future pain. The person also covers their protected family in firm intercession, asking for emotional stability, maturity, and unity. One powerful prayer at this hour can change the home environment, stop unnecessary conflicts, and bring divine healing to fragile relationships. They pray for their children, marriage, parents, friends, even co-workers, knowing God guards those under this spiritual covering. And as this protection builds night after night, something greater approaches. In the 3 a.m. prayer, the person realizes they're not facing just natural challenges, but invisible battles too. That's why Ephesians 6 talks about wearing the spiritual armor, not as a metaphor, but real protection. Here, they put on the belt of truth, asking for clarity, and the breastplate of righteousness, guarding vulnerable emotions. They declare that nothing hidden will rule their day. This is stepping into the battlefield prepared, leaving no open doors. Then they put on the shoes of peace, asking for emotional stability so fear and anxiety don't guide their steps. They lift the shield of faith, knowing negative thoughts and emotional attacks try to hit the mind daily. A simple example is raising a hand and saying, "I believe what God says about me," strengthening the heart just like Psalm 91 teaches. This creates an inner atmosphere the enemy can't break. Finally, they put on the helmet of salvation to guard their thoughts and take up the sword of the Spirit, their balanced, faith-guided responses. This armor isn't theoretical, it shapes decisions, protects relationships, and guards emotional health. Whoever prays like this notices their day gains a new atmosphere, like invisible barriers surround them. And as this spiritual strength rises, something bigger prepares to connect every part of this journey. If this word hit your heart, then this is where your change begins. Drop a comment below about what God spoke to you. It strengthens others going through the same thing. And don't stop here, the video showing on your screen right now is the continuation of this journey. Click it and watch, it goes even deeper into exactly what you need to start living from today forward.